Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, good day, good morning, good evening, whatever time it may be for you. Happy New Year from me. All the best to you and yours for this new year. Hopefully it will be a very healthy year for everyone, for you and the people around you. We're currently again at Polderbaan 1-8 ride, where it's another day of arrivals. This first airplane coming in is a Boeing 767 from LATAM Cargo, which made its way over here from Miami. This plane is 16 years old. It's another day of arrivals at the Polderbaan. As you can tell, it's still windy over here. It's not cold. 12 degrees centigrade, 53 Fahrenheit. Definitely not cold for January. The wind is still blowing from the southwest. YouTube fan, good day to you, sir or ma'am. Jij ook de beste wensen. Happy New Year. I'm still finding that I'm struggling with getting good sound quality for the stream. Not so much the voice over, but mostly the ambient plane noises. I think the last couple of streams the sound quality wasn't what I wanted it to be. And before going live just now, I was still trying to tweak the sound, but I think I'm out in the open in the field right here, where the wind is blowing straight in my back and also straight in the microphones. It causes some distortion, because earlier here and there wasn't so much wind as there is today and yesterday and the day before. I was able to pick up better sounds of the planes. You also have to bear in mind that the wind is blowing the sound of the airplanes away from us, which also doesn't help to capture it. It's work in progress. I'm trying to find a way to make it better. Hopefully today is a bit better than the last time I streamed on Boxing Day. As of today, runway 18 center, which is often used for parallel departures and takeoffs when the wind is blowing, so that they use the north-south oriented runways. The middle runway is going to be closed, at least until somewhere in April, for maintenance, which means that if it gets busy for departures or takeoffs, other runways will have to be used. So parallel landings and takeoffs are off the books for a couple of months. Polderbaan will, however, remain in use. We're waiting for the first next plane to arrive. I do see some planes that are also inbound from the east that might land on runway 22. as was the case yesterday. Polderbaan is still the main runway to use for landings. I think the next plane to arrive and is still on its downwind leg is Ryanair flight 2334 coming in from Malaga. That's a 737-800, 13 years old. It's going to turn base shortly, I think. Behind it there's an Embraer 175 from KLM coming in from Turin. And behind it is a Boeing 737-800 from KLM, flight 1414, coming in from Lyon, France. 15 years old, that plane. The Ryanair machine 13 and the Embraer from Turin, the middle plane, is 5 years old. If I look at flight radar to the east of Amsterdam, just above Almere, there is a Dreamliner from Saudi coming in. Not sure yet where it's going to land. We'll have to see. You might also heard some fireworks in the background. That was one of the Schiphol scarecrows doing their work. Patrolling the platform area, the runway area, to make sure that flocks of birds don't get in the engines. And cause bird strikes. You can tell by the shakiness of the camera, the wind is still blowing very much, maybe even a bit more than last time I was standing here. Hey Gosse, is it morning where you are at? I have it afternoon here already. Different time zones. Happy New Year, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, so the Ryanair 737 has turned final, is on its way to the glide slope. Don't see it visually just yet, but I think it's going to appear in our view shortly. And the Embraer is number 2. There's also an Airbus A321 from Turkish coming in from Istanbul. Turkish. Somehow I always think back to Snatch from Guy Ritchie with Turkish. Bullet Tooth Tony, Cousin Avi. Great film. If you haven't seen it, it's highly recommended. If I see it correctly, the Dreamliner from Saudi also seems to be heading north, making its way to the Polderbaan. It's definitely not going to land on 27 or 22, so we'll start to see it in, what is it, ETA 6 minutes or so. First few narrow bodies, 4 to be exact, the first of which, the Ryanair coming in from Malaga, already visible. Let me put away the phone, head towards the camera, see if I can focus a bit, zoom in while maintaining the focus. Already my camera is struggling. We'll just wait until it gets closer. Visibility is good, as you can see, although there are some clouds. It's nothing too drastic. There's also no rain forecasted for this afternoon. It is going to rain again, however, it's going to be tonight. So we're in for a dry spell this afternoon. But the wind continues on relentlessly. You can see today to crosswind from the right for the planes approaching. So they're crabbing their way down to the runway. Well, the next two planes are also visible meanwhile, so let's zoom in and capture them. So the first one is the Embraer. And I think we can see number 3 as well. So despite the wind, so far smooth landings. Definitely something these pilots are used to and are very proficient in. Okay, we have a long line of planes lining up for arrival. The first of which is KLM 1414. After that we have the Turkish flight from Istanbul. Then we have an Embraer from Air France coming in from Marseille. Now number 4 is going to be the Dreamliner from Saudi, from Jeddah. To all of you who have just tuned in, good day, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time of day it may be for you. Happy New Year. May you and yours receive a lot of health and prosperity this year. We are standing at runway 18 right, the Polderbaan, where the prevailing wind is still from the south-southwest and landings take place. Crosswind from the right, you can tell. And probably here it's not a soft breeze, it's a bit more, it's not a full-blown storm, but it's definitely something that requires some additional input from the pilots. Weather is dry, visibility is good. It's about 12 degrees centigrade or 53 Fahrenheit. And rain is only predicted for tonight. The afternoon, it's going to stay dry, but windy. So first up, Air France flight 1820 from Marseille. This plane coming in, number 1, 3 years old. Number 2 is the Dreamliner, the 787-900 from Saudi, coming in from Jeddah, 5 years old. It's blowing so hard it makes my camera lose focus. Let's quickly turn around the camera. And here we have the Dreamliner from Saudi. Gentle landing. Some lovely Dutch clouds in the background. Picturesque. So the next couple of planes are narrow body. First coming in is an Embraer from KLM from Madrid. This particular plane is 4 years old. Behind it there is another KLM plane, 737-800, coming in from Barcelona. This plane is 11 years old. Number 3 is another wide body, another heavy. It's a 777-300 coming in from Kuwait Airways. And this plane is 5 years old. So let me put on my glove, turn around the camera, and capture all the action. Before going live today, I was saying earlier already, I was trying to tweak the sound. I wasn't too pleased with the way the ambient sound of the planes and, well, basically the surroundings sounded on the last couple of streams. I'm not sure yet why this was the case. Tried putting the volume a bit higher today. I think a lot also has to do with the wind. I'm out in an open field. The wind is blowing straight to the dead cat around my mic. I think it causes a bit of distortion. I didn't hear the distortion when there was less wind during earlier streams. So I'm still trying to work out how I can optimize that. So this is the KLM 737 and the next plane is already visible. Okay, so this one coming in is the 777-300 from Kuwait Airways, coming in from Kuwait. We have another wide body behind it, Qatar Flight 273, coming in from Doha, which is another 787-900 Dreamliner. First up, the triple. Despite its size, still bouncing a bit around. Such a big machine. It's always... I'm still surprised by, if you look on videos, you see these planes approach, you see them from the front, you're thinking, okay, well, it looks like a big plane, but it's probably not as big as you when you witness it passing by. As you zoom out and you see the length of the fuselage, which you don't see when it's still facing you and it's still approaching you. But only as it passes you by and you zoom out do you really see the full length of the fuselage and how much bigger it actually is than it looks from the front. So all of you who just tuned in, welcome to the stream. Welcome to AMS Live. My name is Boy. Happy New Year to you and yours. We are standing alongside Polderbaan or runway 18 right, where landings are taking place today. There's a bit of wind, as you probably can tell by the way the aircrafts are maneuvering. Let me zoom out a little bit so that you can also see the backdrop with the animated clouds. A typical Dutch sky, I would say. Although it's cloudy and it sometimes looks like it's going to rain, it is going to stay dry, at least until the evening over here. Rest of the afternoon it's supposed to remain dry. We did have rain yesterday, of course, and we're going to have rain tomorrow as well, and tonight. It's not cold, although it's windy, but it's 12 or 13 degrees centigrade or 53 Fahrenheit, if you're more familiar with that. Wind is blowing from the south-southwest. These planes are landing in southern direction, so there's crosswind from the right, which is why the planes are facing us as they approach. You can tell runway 24 is in use for takeoffs. What we saw depart was flight 871 from KLM, flying to Delhi, India. And there are now 4 planes lining up for landing on our runway. The first of which is going to be a flight from Transavia, from Malaga 737-800, then 2 Embraers from Lufthansa and KLM, and then an EasyJet Airbus as number 4. So here we see the Transavia flight coming in from Malaga, if I recall correctly. Meanwhile, one of the Schiphol scarecrows, the kievits, as they're called in Dutch, but bird controller is their official title, standing guard. Haven't seen many birds yet today, which means either they are away or the bird controller did his job well. You can already see the next two planes in the distance. You can almost visually see, you can almost draw a line through the image where the glide slope is. As this Embraer is about to touch down. Lufthansa Regional. And the kievit is on the go as well. Meanwhile, I see several other planes ready to line up. As I was saying earlier, as of today, runway 18 center and also runway 36 center, it's the same runway, will be closed for a couple of months for major maintenance. So ordinarily when it gets busy and they use the north-south runways, typically it's parallel takeoffs and departures from Polderbaan and the middle or the easternmost runway. One of them is, at least, will be out of commission for now until somewhere in April, is what I've read. Now typically when it concerns landings, when they do use the Aalsmeerbaan or the easternmost runway that is north-south oriented, it's typically used in the northern direction as runway 36 right, if I say that correctly. Always have to think about the orientation and whether it's left, right or center. So if it does get busy, I think chances are that they're going to use another runway that we won't be able to see from over here. But for now, it seems that all the landing traffic is still going to the Polderbaan, which is where we are standing at. So we still have front row seats for everything coming in. Beautiful Airbus with the Neo livery, the big engines, quiet, lovely sound when they take off as well. It's like, it reminds me of the GE90s of the 777. It's like it's a mini 777 taking off when you hear them spool up. Okay, so coming in now, number one, and I'll turn around the camera shortly, is another flight from Transavia. No, I'm sorry. It says HV, but it's a different plane, probably a different plane, but operated by Transavia. 737-800, 14 years old, and behind it is another plane, which is from Transavia, officially also with delivery, coming in from Seville. That's one of their older planes, 18 years old. And let's quickly turn around the camera. So on flight radar, this flight does say HV, which is typically the call sign for Transavia. So they might use this plane but operate it as a Transavia flight. Don't know for sure, maybe one of you does. If so, let us know in the chat or drop a comment. Of course, this is not too uncommon. I've also had a flight which was done in a KLM plane, even with stewardesses from KLM, but officially it was a Transavia flight. They just chartered a plane from KLM to execute the flight. Let me have a look. So for now there are a few narrow bodies coming, but I can also see that there is another Dreamliner, this time from Etihad, coming in from Abu Dhabi. And there's also a 777 from China Southern coming in, which I think might also turn right shortly. It's now flying just over the east of Amsterdam. So I think there are two heavies on the way. One I'm certain of, the other I couldn't tell with certainty just yet. Of course, with Schiphol, nothing is ever certain. But it does seem that the China Southern cargo flight is also turning north, which means it's flying a downwind leg and will be turning base as the Etihad Dreamliner is doing right now. I can also see on the west coast KLM flight 194, which is an Airbus A330 coming in from Houston, also making its way to the glide slope, now flying towards Alkmaar in the north of Holland. And that is because it is a bit busy with landing traffic, so they have to line up quite far up north. But that's only good, because it means that everything will pass us by on this runway and not in the distance on a parallel runway or another one that's entirely out of our view. For those of you just joining us, Happy New Year to you and yours. Welcome to AMS Live on this New Year's Day. First new day of the year. My name is Boy, and we are currently standing at the Polderbaan, alongside the Polderbaan, or runway 18 right. The main landing runway for today. It's dry, it's not too cold, 13 degrees Celsius or 53 Fahrenheit. What we do have in abundance today is wind. Blowing from the south-southwest or southwest, perhaps even, which means that there is crosswind from the right for these pilots who land in southern direction today. Another 737 from Transavia. I think they operate a fleet exclusively consisting of 737s. Not sure if they even operate 700s or if they only use 8 and 900s. We also have TUI flying on Schiphol. They have 3 Dreamliners, and I think they also still operate a 767. Though you don't see that one as often anymore. Okay, the big jets are lining up for this runway. First, we still have a narrow body, another Transavia 737. Number 2 is the Dreamliner from Etihad. Number 3 is the A330 from KLM coming in from Houston, and number 4 is most likely going to be the 777 from China Southern. So it's like a rerun from the previous plane, another 737 from Transavia. Mind you, they have a lot of them. Quite a large fleet. They service from Iceland to, I think also they fly to Egypt. I do know for a fact that they fly to Tel Aviv. They basically service all of Europe. Most of the holiday destinations. So there are a few wide bodies coming in, the first of which is the Dreamliner from Etihad. This plane is 5 years old, was delivered in October 2017. Number 2 is the A330 from KLM. That plane is 9 years old. The 777 from China Cargo, China Eastern. Number 3 is 13 years old, October 2009, according to Flight Radar. Can you tell it's windy, ladies and gentlemen? Even though they do have a lot of mass, these bigger planes are also affected, and they also have to crab their way to the runway. So far, every one of the pilots has done so well. Even the Ryanair that we saw land earlier was a smooth landing, despite the memes the videos of the rough landings. Let's quickly turn around the camera. The next two planes are already visible. And more is underway. For now, it seems that after the two heavies that are inbound right now, we'll have to make do with a couple of narrow bodies again. But that's okay. They have to do work in crosswind conditions, perhaps even more than the pilots of the bigger jets. So for us, visually, it makes for good content. Silky smooth, this landing. Look at that. Well done. It's like they've done this before. Right, let's quickly turn around the camera. Next up is a 777 from China Southern. After this 777 will be an Airbus A320 from Vueling coming in from Malaga. The plane is 4 years old, and after that Royal Jordanian with an A319 coming in from Amman, and that plane is 13 years old. So there's still more underway, but this will be the last wide body for now, although I'm sure more are underway. What a machine, what a machine. But I have to say, very smooth landing, despite the wind. Another smooth landing, despite the ongoing wind. People walking just by me have to brace themselves. We're wide in the open field here. And the wind is not slowing down. For those of you just joining us, Happy New Year to you and yours. We're currently standing alongside the Polderbaan, or runway 18 right, where planes are landing in southern direction, and we have crosswind from the right from the southwest, giving these pilots a bit of work to do before touching down. Although it is windy, it's not cold. (13 degrees Celsius or 53 Fahrenheit. This plane in the One World livery. So there are like 5 narrow bodies coming in first, but then another A330 appears to be underway. First up, it says it's diverting to Naples, EasyJet, from Naples to Amsterdam. Not sure what's going on over there. So this flight, according to Flight Radar, was from Naples, Italy to Amsterdam, and then it says diverting to Naples. Well, obviously that's not the case. Maybe a glitch in the system. Don't see anything wrong with the plane also, so no idea what is going on. If somebody knows more, let us know. Didn't seem out of the ordinary, this landing. As far as I could tell, of course. Which doesn't say a lot. Okay, so next up is a 737 from KLM coming in from London Heathrow. This is a plane that is 13 years old. And behind it, number 2, is an A319 from Lufthansa coming in from Munich, which is 18 years old. Number 3 is an Airbus A220 from Swiss coming in from Zurich, 5 years old. And then behind it is a 737 from KLM from Copenhagen, Denmark. And that plane is 23 years old. Keeping in the speed. Keeping up the speed, I should say. These planes are now coming back to back more or less, so they have to make sure that they vacate the runway in time, otherwise the plane coming behind it will have to make a go around because the runway has to be cleared in time, otherwise it's not deemed to be safe. Look at how small, how short the fuselage is of this little plane. They're used to seeing the A320s and the A321s so often. Similarly with the 737, you see the 800s and the 900s so much more than the 700 that every time I look at one of those smaller planes I think, oh wow, it's so small. Because you're used to the bigger models that are so much more prevalent. This is the A220 from Swiss. This plane, before becoming officially rebranded as an Airbus, started life as a Bombardier CS series, which is why on flight radar, if you look at these planes, you see BCS, BCS1, BCS3, indicating the types, the 100 or the 300. So they never changed it to A something something. It always stayed BCS, Bombardier CS series. Although nowadays officially it's Airbus A220. Oh, let me lower the camera a bit. KLM also keeping up the speed, passing us by relatively quickly. Not only does it allow for them to vacate the runway more quickly, it also abbreviates the time it takes to taxi to the gate. I'm sure most of you are known with the layout of Schiphol Airport and will know that this current runway, the newest addition, built in 2003 if I'm not mistaken, is the furthest removed from the main platform area, so planes landing over here still have to make quite a taxi before they reach the gates. So this is KLM coming in from Kuwait City, which I think is approximately 6 hours away. I think the flight to Dubai is approximately 6 hours. Kuwait, of course, a bit more to the north. Okay, so next up we have 3 narrow bodies, the first of which is Transavia flight 6148 coming in from Alicante. This plane is 23 years old and still is from the previous millennium, 1999. And after that, KLM flight 1846 coming in from Vienna, which is another 737-800. This plane is 14 years old. After the plane from Vienna is another 737 coming in from Egypt Air, coming in from Cairo, another 737-800, and this plane from Egypt Air is 6 years old. If I zoom out further, I can also see another A320 from incoming from Charles de Gaulle, and another 737 coming in from Copenhagen from Norwegian coming in. As we see another 737 from Transavia coming in. This one also keeps up the speed, relatively high speed pass. So again, we are currently standing at the Polderbaan or runway 18 right, the main landing runway on this first day of the new year. Those of you just tuning in, Happy New Year to you and yours. Welcome to AMS Live. My name is Boy. And we are starting off the year with some arrivals at Schiphol Airport. It's windy, although dry. It's not too cold, 12 or 13 degrees Celsius, 53 degrees Fahrenheit. Happy New Year to you too, Luciano. Tuning in from Brazil, where it's still early today and summer. Well, with these temperatures, except for the wind, it almost feels like spring. Semi-pharaoh-esque type livery on the right of the name Egypt Air representing. Smooth touchdown. This little plane coming in from Charles de Gaulle, if I recall correctly, which is the airport of Paris, France. Only a few hundred kilometers to the south of Amsterdam, so this has been a short flight. I think maybe 30 minutes or so, maybe 40, depending on how busy it is at the airport. But the pure flight time is not too long. This, of course, being the dedicated control tower of the Polderbaan. As I said earlier, this runway is so far removed from the main platform area, it has its own dedicated control tower. The main control tower being this thing in the distance, and you can tell by how far away it is that it was logical that when they built this runway, they also built a new dedicated control tower for departing and landing traffic from this runway. Because, as you can tell, it's hard to see everything happening over here from the main tower. This being another 737 from Norwegian, this one. Who's that guy? Richard Muller Nielsen. Okay. I think it was Alaskan Airways that also has somebody on their depicted on their tail, on the tail of their airplanes, I should say. You don't see it a lot, but Norwegian is not unique in it. Okay, so I think we now have to wait a little bit for the next plane to arrive. I see that there is a 737 underway from Transavia coming in from Porto, Portugal, but it's still underway. Let me see. Yeah, it's thinning out a little bit, traffic, but there is still traffic inbound. There's also an Embraer Phenom 300 coming in, but that is probably going to land on runway 22, which is a shame because the Phenom 300 is a very pretty private jet. If I look to the east of the Netherlands, I can see that there's an Embraer 195 coming in from Naples, Italy, and behind it, just passing the border with Germany, is also an Embraer 190 from KLM coming in from Florence, also from Italy. I can see that there is a Dreamliner coming in from Kenya Airways from Nairobi, but that is still in the middle of Germany, so that's, according to Flight Radar, 30 minutes out. There's also, if I look to the west, the Dreamliner from Aeromexico coming in from Mexico City, but that too is still closer to England than it is to the Netherlands, and has an ETA of 28 minutes. So first up is most likely going to be the Transavia flight from Porto, and I'm looking to the west to see if I can spot the plane visually on its base leg just to the west of us. And it's not flying base, by the way, but downwind, I should say. It has to turn base yet, but I think it's too low already to see and too far out west. So we will have to wait a few minutes for the Transavia flight 6004 to show itself. It's already at 2400 feet, so it's most likely going to take a short traffic pattern, and we'll turn base shortly. Night Rider bus driver is informing us that Richard Muller Nielsen was a former head coach for the Danish national football team. I didn't know that, so thank you so much for giving us that information. Meanwhile, the Kivits are also patrolling the bird controllers Unfortunately, we will have to wait a few minutes for our first plane to show itself. It would be nice if the Phenom were to land on this runway, but it makes much more sense that it's going to land on runway 22. The wind is also favorable to use that runway, plus the general aviation platform is alongside the Oostbaan or runway 22. But it would have been nice. Okay, so the Transavia flight from Porto is now flying base and is going to turn final shortly. I don't see it visually just yet, but I am going to turn around the camera so that when it does show up, we can see it right away. So I think the planes coming in from Italy, from Naples and Florence, are most likely going to be the next planes to arrive. Although the Aeromexico Dreamliner is also not far behind. Above Germany, West Germany, there are 4 or 5 planes now on their way to Schiphol. So there's definitely new traffic underway, but we'll have to wait just a bit. It's a bit of a break of sorts. Although Schiphol is one of the busiest airports in the world, it's not constantly busy 24/7, and it is of course still a Sunday, so traffic will most likely be quieter than during weekdays. Are you guys already able to see the landing lights? Yeah, if I look at my laptop I can see that you guys can see it too. So this is the flight coming in from Porto, from Transavia, Porto, Portugal. And in the meantime, slowly but surely, more traffic is coming in. The Phenom is descending rapidly. It's at 2,800 feet already. I quietly keep my fingers crossed to maybe see it land on the Polderbaan, which would be awesome. They do sometimes land on this runway, private jets. I saw one a couple of weeks ago. I don't recall what type it was, but they do occasionally use the regular runways, if you can call them that, as well. So the planes still have a long way to taxi back to the main platform area from over here, as you could tell earlier when I showed you where the main control tower of Schiphol is. Not sure how many kilometers it is, but it is a couple, so a few miles. There's your indication of how much wind there is.